Yeah, actually, this is a very good question because as we define ourselves as value investors, I think we should not, we should be very open-minded in terms of which stocks you look at. So it's true that there are sectors that we don't like the financial, investment banking industry, for example, because simply we think that the financial statements are not very reliable. But also biotechnology companies where statistics and probability are much more important and decisive for the investment than other things that we can assess and control, like competitive advantages or things like that. But we must be very open-minded and never say never. These are sectors where at a given price that could justify lots of things that we don't understand. If the company has hard assets, maybe these are sectors where we could invest, but of course these are sectors that we tend to avoid. Yeah, we have about 6 to 7% of Sextant PEA today in net cash. We don't think that cash is dead money. We think it has option value to reinvest it when markets are significantly cheaper. But it's true that when markets tend to be fairly valued, like we think they are now, we like to have some cash. But Sextant PEA is a long-only fund that will invest most of the time more than 90% of its assets into equities. Yeah, we have a few Spanish companies. We've been shareholders for a long time in Baron de Ley. We also have shares in DIA, and recently we initiated a position in Técnicas Reunidas. It's a company that has been suffering on the markets recently, mostly we think for temporary issues, like bad commercial performance over the last 18 months, and also poor cash generation. The market is focusing on these issues and behaving as if they were structural. We think it's not the case. The company is very agile and has been able to adapt itself to market conditions. Since it was founded, and it's still the case. So it's still very competitive and should be able, in our view, to continue winning orders like they've had before. And we think the current stock price is pricing in a very, very dark scenario that we don't think is really reasonable. Yeah, so, well, first I will state the obvious. We are French, or at least most of the team is French. We have people from probably 5 or 6 nationalities now within the team, but basically the French market has been a huge success for us since we started investing, since we founded the firm in 2002. So I think we should not be shy and avoid this market. And it's a very good market for investors because it's very diversified. You have very many industries, either industry or services, or agriculture, which is not very frequent in Europe, at least. You have very, like Germany, for example, is very strong as great companies, but on capital goods companies, for example. But France is much more diversified. So, this being said, it's true that the French exposure has, tended to go down over time. So like 3 years ago, it was 75% of Sextant PEA. Now it's close to 50%. We are investing in the team. So we've added people focusing most of their time on non-French equities, like me, for example. I'm spending right now 80% of my time studying non-French European companies. And we have other people dedicated to some geographies. For us, what matters is really the track record. So we will not invest outside of France just for marketing reasons, let's say we really want to invest in things that we understand, where we have an edge and have intimacy sometimes with the company. It takes time. But I can understand that, you know, maybe somebody doesn't want to have 50% exposure to France. So just maybe to reassure those people, if you just look at the sales exposure of the companies we have in the portfolio, you have only 30%, you know, that is realized in France. 70% is done outside of France. So it kind of, you know, reduces a bit this fear, maybe, hopefully, for some people.